Mine was more so just like I didn't want to look fat anymore. Like I want to be like that confident guy. Kind of just have like me as a coach have to balance like what I think will help them achieve their goals in the most efficient way. Everything comes back down to deep inside of like what you kind of truly value. Just looking back at yourself and seeing like why you're doing it for yourself.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Highest Version Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Philvong, and on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day, becoming the highest version of ourselves. Today's guest is Stephen Chen, aka the Beast from the East, and my online fitness coach. He was born and raised in Quincy, Massachusetts, and his passion for health and fitness, specifically bodybuilding and physical therapy, has inspired him to help others with their fitness goals. So without further ado, let's welcome my coach, Stephen Chen. What's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, what up, Randy?
How you feeling, bro? This is your first podcast. I'm taking your podcast V card.
Bro, I would never expect it to be on a podcast before, so I'm glad that you're the one that's taking my virginity.
Let's go. Yeah, bro. I mean, the last time we talked was at a mutual friend's wedding.
Yes.
And then even then, like, we were like talking here and there, but like not like we didn't go in depth because obviously we were having fun, celebrating, you know, the lovely couple that was
getting low too up too at the same time. but yeah.
Yeah, and we feel too bad for the people that had that teapot that we used.
Oh, yeah, teapot laced with some Casamigos. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we probably mixed in there. It was probably not that great either.
No, but
oh man, that was a good time.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So before we get into conversations, the questions that I have for you, I want to get into the featured Funko Pop of the episode, and that is Captain America. And the reason why I picked Captain America, and I didn't pick it because your name was also Steve. But when we think about Captain America's character, he's a very genuine guy. Mm-hmm. He's proud of what he does and what he stands for. And through my conversation with you, I feel like that's who you are. You're very genuine and proud of, you know, what you stand for and what you're passionate about. Also, Captain America's jacked, and you're jacked. So that was the first level basis that I read off of. So yeah, man. I mean, you were telling me that Captain America is actually your favorite superhero. So I guess, how do you feel about my resonations with you and Captain America here?
Yeah, I mean, even before jumping onto the pod, like we were just talking about like Captain America as like an individual himself, and I feel like watching his movies, his kind of like startup, like he's just like a little scrawny kid.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like he still was, you know, he had like those inner, just kind of like his motivation, his confidence. He kind of just stood on certain principles that just he never like wavered from.
Yep.
And I mean, he was luckily enough to get chosen to get that secret soldier serum thingy. And
yes.
Then he became jacked. But at the same time, even when he was like a scrawny guy, like, he never gave up. He always gave his like 110% and stuff like that. So like, I mean, just him as an individual character itself, like definitely someone that you want to live a life of.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And that's for sure. Like also, I was getting into it, like your fitness journey about like, you know, not giving up and obviously keeping to like what your values.
Right.
Well, actually, let's dive into it. That's actually the first question. So why did you get into fitness? Like what motivated you to get into this obviously very complex and interesting world of fitness?
Right. Yeah. So right now, I mean, if people didn't know, like I am like focusing on bodybuilding itself. But I guess going back to kind of like how I got into like lifting and all that stuff, kind of starts, I guess, growing up and not being the most fit person growing up, you know, like coming back with like first generation Chinese American, like parents didn't really know too much about like
course
diets and all that stuff. Like my parents were blessed enough to put me in different like sports and all that stuff growing up, giving me like plenty of opportunities to do like whatever I wanted to do. But the damn food, man, it's just so good, you know? I remember just going with my brothers, just going to McDonald's and stuff, just eating 2 McChickens, some type of soda, some fries and all that stuff. Like,
yeah.
It's a good time, man. It
always is, you know? Man. You can't skimp on McDonald's growing up, you know?
Bro, shout out to people back when there was like around like the Halloween time, they did like these coupon books, bro.
Oh,
bro,
you're right.
I'm telling you, if you could remember those times, you know the vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just like eating like a lot of like just junk food or just any food in general.
Right.
I didn't really have any like control or self-regulation back then as a kid, you know, because as a young boy who's just hungry, like I think
Yeah.
the only innate response is just to kind of just eat more, and the parents didn't really like know when to say no per se.
Yeah, yeah.
So growing up, you know, kind of, I would say like pretty fat for so like just looking back like to my standards and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And then growing up, you know, played basketball a lot, so that was like my primary sport. And then during the summer after my freshman year, we were playing in the summer league, just like a regular game. That's when I actually tore my ACL.
Oh shit.
Playing like basketball then, and so I was out for that entire my sophomore season.
Oh wow.
And just I remember after like having surgery and just being bedbound for like the first 2 or 3 weeks, just like not being able to do anything. That I think that was like one of the main things that kind of struck me. It was like, damn, like if I don't really take like my body seriously and stuff like that, like I don't want to just sit down and, you know,
Right.
can't do anything. So
Yeah.
I think that was one of the main things that kind of like popped into my mind that made me want to come back again, of course, come back and play basketball, but at the same time be physically ready, and just overall just more fit, like, you know, and then that kind of jump started like why I wanted to become a physical therapist too. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
I mean, ACL tears, like that's like probably one of the most like scariest injuries because that can lead to like a lot of, I mean, obviously at that point, like it's just fragile. And
Right,
like,
no,
we hear about a lot of athletes like coming back from ACL tears, but then like it just never gets
Right.
back to being healed.
And I also think that a lot of people overlook just the physical aspect of it, but there's a lot of mental things too with it, because like it was just a routine. Like I was just jumping and landing on one foot, and you playing basketball too. Like you understand that that's probably like 90% of the game
Literally,
anyway,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're coming from a rebound, you're shooting a layup, shooting a shot, you're jumping and landing, right?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those freak accidents. Like I didn't land on anyone. I think it was just
Body, like how your body was.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, talk about that mentality. Obviously, like probably the first time you played basketball again after your ACL tear and being recovered. I mean, was it scary for you to even just take a jump shot, layup? Like
like honestly, when people ask me about like how my recovery process was, and at PT, I honestly don't remember much about it, which is just funny enough, right? Like the only main things I remember is the first day I went in, they took like my bandages off, and I saw like a lot of blood and all that stuff, and then I just remember like maybe doing like a leg press or something like that. But in terms of like the recovery process, like I don't remember too much. I don't know if that's like a coping mechanism for myself or something like that. But yeah, no, like coming back, like after I was cleared by my doctors to kind of come back and play like basketball and stuff, like of course I was like hesitant, you know, like started off just doing like basic jump shots and stuff, and then started ramping it up, and then I mean eventually, like looking back at it now, I came back and I played two more years in my junior and senior year, and I was varsity on both years. So
nice,
like, you know.
Nice. Yeah, the what's it called? The comeback story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You talked about how like your relationship with food. Was your mom's love language cooking for you and your brothers?
I mean, kind of just going back to like just Chinese, like everyone does like family style and all that stuff. We always had dinner with my parents, my grandma, and then my two brothers. So it was kind of just like, you know, foods in the middle of the table. Everyone kind of gets like their bowl of rice and stuff. And knowing me, I kind of just if you're too slow to get that piece of meat, I'm gonna take that. You know? Of course, I'll ask my grandma and my parents like, oh, you want that? No one says anything. My brothers, I'll need that piece of food right there.
Anybody want that question? It's so leading because we know we want it, but
we know for a fact you want it, but you're trying to be nice, you know. But like,
it's the Asian thing to do. Honestly, it's the Asian thing to do.
Exactly right. You know, you gotta ask the seniors first, and then forget your siblings and then skip them, and then you go back to me. So just eating and stuff like that. Again, going back to just like not having any self-regulation or understanding like what any protein, carbs, and fats are. Like I don't. If I ask my mom what those are right now, she still probably doesn't know too much about it. You know?
She just knows veggies is good.
Right. Exactly.
And
right.
Eating is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Vegetables and rice are like the staples, right? In Chinese households, and then depending if you like more meat and stuff like that, you know, it's kind of go with there, you know.
Yeah. My mom was the same way too. She was like, that was her love language.
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Just cooking stuff like that. Yeah.
cooking as much as like, oh, like, are you hungry? Was more like a, hey, I want to care for you. So
Right.
do you want?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
want to? And I was like, obviously at that time I was like, yeah, I'm hungry. So
Right.
so I'll eat anything.
Exactly. Yeah. So going back to that, like once I started like caring a little bit more about like after the ACL injury and stuff like that, like I started like just working out just to feel things out and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
my oldest brother, he started lifting when he was in high school too, so I kind of want to like look and be jack like him too.
Yeah.
Being the youngest of 3. So when I started like just cooking the first time, bro, like I would say like my parents were kind of like shocked in a way, because like they saw me, because like I started to do my own research about like understanding what macros are
Yep.
and understanding the difference between like calorie intake versus calorie like out, so then I started like measuring, like I like went on Amazon, bought like a little like food scale and all that stuff, so I started like
Damn.
weighing out, being a little more like meticulous with my food.
Yeah. How old were you at this time?
Probably when 16 or
16,
something like that.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Like
Okay,
around
okay,
there
okay.
too.
Yeah.
So then I just started like weighing out my food and being really like meticulous of like what I was eating. Looking back at it, I probably was like eating like not eating enough food. Like I probably was like pretty much like starving myself, just because like I just kind of wanted like the process to kind of like just hurry up and all that stuff. So like that kind of led to like bad like eating habits and stuff like that. Like especially like high school and stuff, like puberty hits. Like you want to look good for people and stuff like that. So
yeah.
just like also like just the pressure, just being like a 16-year-old.
Yep.
Being a little overweight and stuff like that, not too confident.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's started like cooking on my own time, like my own food and stuff like that. So sometimes during like the dinners, like I would cook like my separate food and stuff like that, and my parents would eat like their like still home cooked like family style meals, and they're like, oh, like why are you doing that? So I like tried to explain to them. They're like, oh, like you're fine, like just eat a little bit less of that, stuff like that. But they didn't understand like portion sizes, like what kind of like oils and stuff you're kind of putting into it. So first time they saw that, they're kind of like mistaken and stuff. But I think 6 years later, like they're fine with it now.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting perspective from obviously your mom's standpoint. It's like,
right.
oh, like does he not like my cooking or
Exactly.
anything like that? And it's like, no, mom, like,
right,
what?
like, and then you're trying to explain it to them, but at the same time, they're like, oh, like you never know, like they're lying, just
Yeah.
So yeah, I think now they definitely better understand it, especially now like seeing how I've kind of like went from like that body image and now like where I am right now is also with like my background, like physical therapy, like personal training and all that stuff. I think they kind of better understand that a lot more now.
How old are what's the age gap between you and your brothers?
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of 3, so I'm 24. Then the middle one, he's 26, and then the oldest one is 28. So we're all separated by 2 years.
Okay, that's not bad. How was it having your first older brother in high school with you?
So it would be the middle one. Yeah.
The middle one. Yeah.
So it was good. Like my brothers and I, we're not like super tight or anything, but like if we ever like need
got each
help or anything, like we'll shoot each other like a text and stuff like that, or like call each other, but like having him being there and stuff like that, I would say like me and my middle brother, like we aren't like that close compared to me and my oldest brother.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just because I think the background with like fitness and stuff, I think my oldest brother, he kind of took that a little more seriously and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can kind of relate back to him a little more compared to my middle brother.
Yeah, you'd be the little brother that's coming to the gym with the older brother.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like I remember like early on, because my oldest brother, he's still into powerlifting, so all they care about is just like lifting as much weight as they can. So funny enough, like my first time like lifting, like I wanted to be like him, right? So I started like powerlifting too. So I asked him like just different questions about like what to do, like kind of like how to program, like why you're doing this versus that, just being super curious, because I had like no clue
for sure
about it, so
were you in the powerlifting club at UMass?
I was my first year at Amherst. It was a cool experience, but he already graduated, so like when he left already, then like people kind of like knew, he's like, oh shit, like that's Wilson's brother.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh shit, like this guy he must be strong or something. Like, I'm not that strong, guys. Like I'm still pretty new. I'm still pretty new to this. I kind of just did this, kind of just like meet friends and all that stuff, because
Of course.
Amherst is like a town within a town, man. Like there's so many people there.
Bro, yeah, that's true. But yeah, man, let's go into your journey as a fitness coach, because obviously, like, it was great that you made the shift to get into fitness, but to be able to help others, like, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, I think so. Going back to after I finished up like my powerlifting career, like I competed once, and then I finally hit my goal of like benching 315, which is 3 plates on each side. So after I did that, I was like doing 4 plates on each side is the next one. But I'm like, I'd rather not like spend my time just benching, squatting, and deadlifting all the time. So then I was like, why don't I just like look over to like bodybuilding and stuff like that? So like going back to just being curious and like wanting to like know more, like I did a lot of just like searching up on like YouTube and like different like lifting forums and all that stuff, and kind of found out like what bodybuilding is all about, more so compared to powerlifting, where it's more all about like strength and just the raw numbers itself. Bodybuilding itself is more so like, for me, like more so like a visual art of kind of how like you are expressing yourself in terms of your body, right? Because like you get to, the goal of it is to look as jacked as you can. Of course, there's like different divisions within bodybuilding stuff. So looking like, I mean, you can be, like Ronnie Coleman, like that. Are you?
I'm not too familiar.
All right, you're gonna have to go
okay.
after this. But like that man was like 250, 290 like pounds, and he was like elite, like shredded. Like if you can picture that in your head right now, like
that's actually crazy. That's crazy.
Is what like a top bodybuilder was. Like, but of course he was like on like steroids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, first and foremost, I want to tell everyone that I am natural. So I don't want no
slander here.
Fans, okay. So but yeah, just going back to that, then I like jumped into bodybuilding. Did kind of like my own thing. Like I still coach myself to this day. So I just started like being better in terms of like what like in terms of nutrition as well as training, like different like principles. Just like different things, like kind of like what is up to date with like the science and stuff. And I think, I'm trying to think back, like I think after maybe I think starting like 2 years ago, I think I started just like asking friends if like, because I started to see like visually like I looked a little different, compared to when I first started off. I'm like, like this is pretty cool. Like I was able to quote unquote like pack on like this X amount of muscle, cut down, and like I can like see like my striations and all that stuff. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I think just like a thought just popped in my head, like, oh yeah, like why don't I like just like start offering like help to like people, like friends and stuff like that. So just like right now, just like word of mouth, just like asking people like, oh, like they see me like at like my body figure, and they're like, oh shit, like how do you do this? And I'm like, told them kind of like my process about it, and then they're like, oh shit, like do you offer like coaching or like help or something? Like I mean like at that point I was like, no, I don't want to like do any like coaching or anything like that, but I was like offering like what I did, like plans and stuff like that. And then I think one night I probably got home and I was like, like why don't I like start like my coaching career and stuff like that. So then I think I made my current Instagram page right now. I think before then, I think I primarily posted like powerlifting stuff. I think, I don't know, I haven't scrolled down all
going
the way
back
down,
to the archives.
The archives there, but I just like started like posting like content about like myself lifting, like educational stuff and all that stuff, and then like being college, and then also being grad school, like like
cost of
school, like the cost of it is in terms of like the amount of like schoolwork you got, like trying to manage a job and all that stuff. So like in the back of my mind too, I was like, I mean, this could be like a good side gig too.
For sure.
Just to make some money like on the side, So I think just going back with like that too, and just wanting to help people, I think that kind of like just jump started like why I wanted to become like a fitness coach.
That's super dope. I love that kind of gym community where someone comes up to you like, hey, like how did you get to where you are? Like that's always a great conversation to have, because it's like it's just like offering like free not like free info that's things that like will help everyone grow, whoever is like asking for it, right?
Exactly. Like I mean, even like if you come up and ask me like just like as a random person, like I'd be more than happy to, like
Yeah.
give you like quote unquote like the blueprint of like what you have to do. But like at that end, like with being a coach, there's like different levels to like how much information you're really giving. You know, and just like, you know, you can tell them to eat like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You can train this amount of like choose these different exercises and stuff like that. Train hard, but like, do people actually know what like that even means, right? You know,
Right,
so,
yeah. Because to me, training hard was like having the most amount of weight.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's different definitions, you know, to like quote unquote training hard. So again, that's why having like someone that's more having that coach like at a more personal level kind of like separates the difference between like just like, you know, like a generic coach
Right.
versus like someone that actually like cares about
Yeah.
your development.
Right. And let me guys tell you, I cannot lift the same weight as I did before I started. I had Steven as my coach. Like it was like so crazy to me because obviously when we train, you emphasize range of motion.
Yes.
And then that kind of like time under tension, like going slow on the
The
eccentric.
yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
And before that, I was bench pressing like 60-pound dumbbells, and I was like, okay, great. Like
light, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna get to 75,
Yeah,
and then I'm
yeah.
gonna max out at Planet Fitness.
Right.
Nope. I'm down to like I'm back down to 40,
Yeah,
and I'm
I
like,
know.
but I feel it. I feel it a lot more. It's a lot more stimulated, and
Right, exactly.
And I think it's just, you know, different types of training, but
Yes, yeah.
I personally have seen the difference of
Mm-hmm.
two different types of training that I feel like the one that we're doing right now, that you have me
Mm-hmm.
doing right now, is a lot more rewarding, and I feel it more, and I put on like maybe like 3 pounds in a
Yeah,
month.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I put
Both
a
of them,
good amount of muscle for the first.
Right.
Well, let's see if it's muscle, but like I do notice a difference in shoulders. And
Yeah, we kind of talked about it like I think 2 weeks ago. Then we started like sending. I think you sent me like a compare and contrast from the first week to like now, and like we again definitely talking about like the shoulders and like the arms are definitely coming in.
yeah,
there,
no,
too.
no, I know, guys. He's my journey to become Michael B. Jordan is because of this guy right here. What are the things that you have learned becoming a fitness coach? Like, you know, people's responses, what people want to get out of their goals. Like, give us that little introspective of what it's like.
To be a coach,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah. So again, I'm still like trialing and error, like trying to see what the best process is, and compared to doing in-person coaching versus doing online stuff, like being an online coach is a little more flexible in terms of kind of like you get to schedule like your own time and stuff like that. So just kind of diving into like the process of it. Like first, I start off with sending each person that's like interested in coaching like a Google form just to kind of get like some basic background information. And then on that, from there, we'll get into like a initial consultation call where we kind of dive into a little more deeper conversations between like things kind of like, oh, like what's your training history, what's your stance on like what your goals are, and just kind of like things along like those lines. And of course, like everyone kind of has like their own goals, and everyone has like their own schedule. So being an online fitness coach, you kind of have to balance like this person might work like at home for, you know, from Monday through Friday, so they're not going to be able to hit the gym, you know, like X amount of days compared to someone else that's working in like, I don't know, like the he's like a lumberjack or something. He's moving weight and all that stuff like all the time. Like he's pretty like fit already, you know. So kind of just have like me as a coach have to balance like what I think will help them achieve their goals in the most efficient way based off of like their training style, history, as well as what kind of fits their lifestyle. And then on top of training, you have to look into like the nutrition aspect too, right? Because you have to kind of find the balance between nutrition as well as that training aspect. So again, it's just like a lot of constant like feedback. And again, like some people might be vegetarian, some people might not eat this type of food. So try to figure out like give them plenty of options to kind of choose, and from there, like even if you give like these options, like they might not enjoy this type of food. So again, it's like a lot of just kind of going back and forth. That's why I think like being an online coach is quote unquote like harder than being in person, because there's so many more variables that you have to take care of. Because when you're just doing it in person training, like being an in person personal trainer, all you care about is just the training. But then you don't see them for like the the rest of the day or the next time that they come into the gym.
Yeah.
But being an online coach, you have access to talk to me like 24/7 throughout the whole day, like 7 days a week and stuff until we come up with our each week with our client check-ins.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of separates between like being in person versus online, like kind of getting a little deeper into like the mindset, like what I have to kind of like juggle between.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's super cool that you are like doing these like personalizations. So like lifestyle, you know, like pops in, like food you like, right? I know one of the conversations that we've had is like, okay, like you asked me like what kind of food do you like? What food do you not like? So like to kind of understand like, you know, where we can find certain things to like hit the macros that we need to, which I think was super cool. And like I didn't know a lot about like fitness coaches, like online fitness coaches, and like what they do. And then when we talked, like it kind of helped me understand, okay, like no, this is like a true personalization,
right? And
I think it at first, like I was like really like hesitant because I was like, oh, like is this just gonna be like, oh, like here's a program and like, you know, go do it,
do your thing, right?
Yeah, but like no, it's more than that. And like I honestly genuinely recommend, like encourage, even, you know, take Stephen Chen as your coach.
Yes, sir.
Because it really is a personalization, and it makes it a part of it is accountability, but it's also like, hey, like I have to hit these certain things and do this program every week, and if I don't, then like not only am I letting my coach down, but I'm also letting myself down.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is at the end of the day. It's like it's all like, you know, Steven's not in my ear or like walking around in my kitchen being like, oh, eat this, eat that, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, oh, you at the end of the day still have to do your shit, and like, you know, it's an investment, and it's an investment that I honestly feel very rewarded in so far. So, you know, I know we're only a month in, but you know, thank you for
for
obviously
sure.
like hitting these like big well, for me it's small wins, but to me they're big wins because I've always been consistent with the gym, but I just never seen like really any results. And I get down on myself because it's just like, oh, like, I don't see that shit.
You kind of like just figure out like what are things that you're doing wrong, but I don't think it's not necessarily like what you're doing wrong. It's like what are the other things that you aren't doing, you know? Right. Like going back to like your eating and stuff like that. Like we started talking about like what macros are and stuff, and I think the first week I laid out like a specific type of macros for you to hit, and then you're like, oh, like this, like I think for carbs for you, like you are eating a lot less compared to the fats and stuff. So then I was like, I mean, if that's just kind of like how your lifestyle is, like if you enjoy a little more fat content in your diet, like I just make the appropriate adjustments from there to kind of increase the fats and lower the carbs. And then from there, like I think from then on, like we haven't really had too much like issues with like you hitting like these specific calories, right?
Yeah, no, I've been able to like hit all of them, and like that was like such a better shift for me because I was just like I don't know if I hit like these carb levels. My fats are like getting to the level that you want to.
Right.
And I guess people are kind of honing in on our like, I guess, personal coaching conversations because eating has been like the toughest part about this whole journey.
Right.
Like getting in the gym, like training. I mean, granted, some days like your leg day program it sucks.
Hey, whoever wants to get in a free leg day with me, contact me right now, and I can guarantee that I'll get you shaking.
I guarantee your legs would be jello. Like you can't walk, bro. I'd just be in the gym and my legs are shaking. But like it has been a rewarding experience, but nutrition has been like the hardest part for me just because, and I think that was like the biggest problem like for me and why I wasn't seeing results, and it's because like I didn't hit these certain things. I didn't have a lot of knowledge too, right? And like, yes, some person might say, oh, like, well, now that you know that why don't you just drop Steven as a coach? And I was like, well, there's a lot of different aspects to having an online fitness coach, and like it's, again, like I said, it's very rewarding. And I'm not just speaking because like, you know, Steven's our friend, and like obviously
I paid him to say all this information actually. Thank you, Randy. I'll send you the Venmo.
No, all kidding aside, like this is like genuine shit. And you know, Michelle asked me like, you know, how do you feel? You know, how do you feel like working with Steven? And it's like, it's honestly has been like a super change, like life change in my like fitness journey, because I know if I do X, Y, and Z, like that's what's going to get me towards too. And man, there are also some days where like I send him record videos for him and try to get feedback and technique, and he's like, I think you could have went like 1 or 2 more reps there. And I was like, did you see my face about how much I was dying? He's like, well, you know, your pace didn't really scream that. And I was like, all right, more intense next week.
Right.
But there actually was a point in my journey where, and while we were working together, where I
Mm-hmm.
was where I was like, dang, like, am I even like doing this right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I even gonna get to that point where you feel like you're comfortable with me doing techniques? And I was
Right.
like really down on myself. And, I expressed that to you. I was like, damn, like I was like, oh, like, I'll do better next time.
Yeah.
But this definitely took a toll on me, like mentally. That wasn't the words verbatim, but I know I expressed to you how much of a mental shift and effort like I had to put
For
into
sure.
it.
Yeah. I mean, like when you're training hard at like the levels that I kind of want you to have, like it's not about just like the physical aspect of it. Like you have to kind of mentally prepare for yourself too. Like
Yeah.
because again, like going back to just like talking about principles of like lifting, if you don't mind me, like
Yeah, go ahead.
just,
No, no,
like
no. Talk your shit, bro.
like jumping into there, right?
Yeah.
So if people are kind of like wanting to get into body or just quote unquote just like want to get like more fit, specifically building more muscle, like kind of like disregarding everything about like training hard, hitting your protein, and all that stuff. The number one thing comes down to just adherence, right? Because if I lay down like quote unquote the best blueprint for you to do,
Yeah.
like it's laid out for you from January all the way extended out to December, right?
Yeah.
And you yourself you don't want to do it, like it's never gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Like I for as like a online coach, like I've had people that come up to me and ask me like for help. I've trained them for maybe like a week or two and they just kind of stop because they just realize that like this mentally for them or physically isn't just for them. So like now like learning from that perspective too, like now I know like okay, like I have to kind of lay down like like early on, like being like, oh, like are you like how serious are you, like if you want to just quote unquote like lose 5 pounds or something, like that's pretty easy. Like I can probably help you with that, but if the for you per se, like just for you for example, Randy, like I know it's more so like that journey as aspect of it, so it's more so like the long
term
run for you. So like, knowing you, like I know you're a pretty like like motivated guy. Like you'll listen to kind of like the information that I have, and like if you have some things that you want to question stuff, like you definitely shoot, ask me, like as you should,
Yeah.
But I think like the number one thing with even before starting like your journey, you kind of like have to know like why you want to do it, and is this more so like a kind of just like a short term versus long term kind of thing, like
Right.
if you want to lose or quote unquote lose or gain like a X amount of weight and stuff, but deep down like you know that 2 months later down the road you're not gonna do it, like at that point I feel like you're just wasting my time as well as your own time,
Right.
So that's why I kind of want to like when I want to coach, like I want people that are like genuinely interested, like wanting to become a better person, like physically but as well as like mentally.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. I kind of curious, I guess. So obviously when we had a consultation, like you still had to make the decision of like, oh, like, am I gonna take Randy in or not?
Right.
I guess from your perspective, what was that the biggest factor? Is like, okay, well, he's self-motivated and he knows that, in order to do this, like you got to work hard.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like definitely like those things, but on top of like you're the one that kind of reached out to me, right?
It's true.
So, like,
Yeah.
So I kind of knew that like you're kind of like you're ready for this, and like I think when we first talked, like you were in California too.
Yeah.
And, like, I was like, oh yeah, just take it easy for now. Like once you come back, we'll have like the console call and stuff. And like you even like send me videos of like stuff already. So I was like, oh shit, like this guy this guy really wants like to get this work started,
Yeah.
So I can kind of tell like you're a person that like is gonna take this seriously. And then from that, and like I know what I need to do, and then kind of like tell you what you need to, and then from there it's kind of like the mirrors that we kind of set together, right?
Yeah, we both said I do.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's for me for the longest time. Like, I mean, I joke about it a lot on the podcast and my content, like, oh, I want to look like Michael B. Jordan, but it's just like it's also an inner child thing for me, and healing that, like, oh, like I think like yourself, you mentioned that you're fat in your standards, but for me, like I was always like a skinny kid.
Yeah, we're on
opposite spectrums.
Spectrums, right? Like I've always wanted to be like the skinny kid and all that stuff, but for you, you're on, you were there and trying to like gain weight, right?
Yeah. And like, in order for me to be really serious about this, it's just like, hey, like, I gotta go through a bunch of hard work and shit to get to the point. Like, I wanna have that feeling, get to that point where I'm like, yo, I did it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And like I feel like and like knowing us too, I feel like we're never like settled too.
Oh yeah, no.
So once you like quote unquote reach a certain like weight or something,
Mm-hmm.
like damn, okay, like I hit this, but like what if 2 years down the line, like what will I look at this body weight like with more muscle on or something like that, right? You know,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about opening your own gym?
that is. I definitely had thoughts about opening up a gym,
Mm-hmm.
but then with my more professional side, like as a physical therapist,
Yeah, yeah,
um, I definitely want to start, because I mean, I spent 7 years. So, like,
yeah. True.
I hope I do something with my degree.
Yeah, yeah.
So I definitely want to start off as just like working as just a physical therapist and doing the online coaching as a side still. But then eventually like opening up like my own clinic,
Nice.
physical therapy wise, as well as kind of having like that strength and conditioning / like gym vibe
Yeah.
into it, like kind of like the background. So like what my dream is to kind of come up with a team of like friends, like physical therapists, to open up like a clinic at first, and then kind of having open space to just have like your own like kind of personalized gym and stuff like that too. So I feel like
Nice.
having like the rehab aspect of it as well as like involving different aspects of fitness would be like a pretty cool like
Yeah.
dream kind of scenario.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think I've ever heard of a gym that has like would have like the gym aspect, but then like you would also have that rehab
Yeah,
physical
I know.
therapy
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of it.
Right.
I think it's definitely like a new concept that can be capitalized on.
Yeah, no, it definitely can. I think it definitely takes like a lot of work to
For
you know,
sure.
think about process of it. And it's probably a shit ton of money to own
Yeah.
that place. So that's why I mean, that's something down the line to
Yeah.
look forward to. But
Like is the like no put money aside. Are we
Mm-hmm.
looking like an alpha land like type of vibe?
I-
Are we looking
I-
like a warehouse? Like
I
what do you
don't know.
think?
I don't know. Maybe just start off at like a just small building from there, and
Yeah.
if like the business goes booming, like
Yeah.
Alphaland Kid could be the dream, right? You know,
Stephen Chen Land. I mean Chen Land.
Chenland, we'll have Chenland over there.
I have some on a fitness coach. Also, well, before that,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you're balancing a lot of stuff. You're balancing school. You're balancing your side hustle, being
Mm-hmm.
an online fitness coach, but also balancing your job. I mean, how do you feel? Not feel, but like, how do you feel? Maybe. How do you balance all that?
It's a good question. It's a really good question.
You're like, I just don't sleep.
Hey, no,
yeah.
sleep is very important, guys. I try to strive for 7 to 8 hours a day.
Nice.
Which I typically do get. But I think everything kind of just boils down to just being like really good with like your time management skills and stuff, and just understanding what your priorities are.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, like the party culture was never like a big thing for me growing up. So I know like my friends to this day, they still like enjoy like going out and partying and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
late nights and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But for me, I kind of just my life is pretty chill. Like for the most part, I go to school right now.
Yeah.
Then I go work out, and then I do, on top of being an online coach, I also am an in-person personal trainer as well.
Yes. Yep.
So I do that, and like some days I'm out of the house from 7 a.m. and I come back at like 9:30 p.m.
Jesus Christ.
So like the whole day is like pretty much jam-packed, but I still hit the goals that I kind of wanted to do for that day.
Yeah.
So I think doing that, and then just understand that it's like a long process, right? And that's also like the consistency and the routine of it. Like I've been doing this quote unquote schedule from like that 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the past 10 weeks now, I think. So just once school ends, like I'll have a little more freedom, but then after that, like I'll be studying for my boards exam, so like that kind of takes precedent of like from that school. So like
Yeah.
like things never really quote unquote like stop. Yeah,
Stop,
exactly.
yeah.
So like again, you just kind of just have to understand like your priorities and stuff.
Right.
Also, you kind of talking about like not just about like your professional goals, but also like you want to balance like family, friends, and all that stuff too.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's difficult, trying to make the parents happy,
Yeah.
girlfriend happy, the friends are happy,
Yeah.
But try my best to make things work. And of course, there are some things that come up, have some arguments, but at the end of the day, like as long as both sides kind of understand like where you're coming from, then I think you'll like come to like a mutual agreement from there, right?
Yeah, having that kind of expectation of like, hey, this is where I am in my life, and
Yeah.
like this is gonna come priority. So
Right, yeah.
Just communicating that. this I think a good topic to talk about is this idea of consistency, right? Because we know consistency is like one of the hardest things to do, especially when it comes to like fitness goals or whatever goals that you're working on, because we'll reach a point where we're on a high and we're really consistent, but then there's that point where it's just like drops because like, and we plateau and then we're like, oh, why do we want to do this again, right? We hear a lot of people have fitness goals and they drop off by like March.
Yep.
So I guess in your eyes, like from your perspective, what do you think about like, when consistency gets boring? I think that's like the point when people drop. What would you say to someone of like, hey, like I've been doing this shit, like, yeah, I know it's good for me, but like, I'm bored now. Like how do I get back to being like self-motivated?
Right. Yeah. I think because again, going back to just like everything comes back down to deep inside of like what you kind of truly value and your beliefs are. Like an analogy that I like to tell people when they start like lifting is like literally watching paint dry. Like if you sit outside right now and you like paint, like you painted like a wall or something, like just watching it dry, like it's gonna take like a long time for that to kind of like
for sure
materialize, right? Like like when you first start lifting, like you might have like those first quote unquote newbie gains, like the first 3 months, and it kind of just like catches like you, like that really increases like that confidence. But once that kind of settles down and like you're lifting for the next like 3 months and you don't really see too much growth per se, like and that kind of confidence kind of like goes lowers back to like it's baseline, right? Then you kind of have to dig deeper and just kind of look back into the mirror and be like, oh yeah, why I kind of started like this journey per se, again, everyone kind of has like their own journey. Mine was more so just like I didn't want to look fat anymore. Like I want to be like that confident guy lifting and all that stuff. And like you being starting off as like a skinny guy and skinny and scrawny kind of thing. Like you wanted to, be a better person too. So like, it's tough to kind of self-motivate because motivation can only take you so far. You kind of
temporary,
exactly right. So you kind of just have to have like that inner drive and just like understanding like why you're doing it for yourself or maybe for someone else or something. But at the end of the day, I would say like just looking back at yourself and seeing like why you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, yeah, that is, I think you touched a lot of great points. That's a great analogy on consistency because a lot of people don't understand. It's like, oh, like, yeah, like you're gonna get bored because it's your brain is like on high and then your brain just gets used to routine, like habits and stuff like that get boring sometimes. But if you kind of let go of that routine and all that stuff, like you're gonna lose a part of yourself and goals, and it's your success rate goes down significantly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, right.
What has been your biggest struggle being coach? Like, what has been the biggest struggle for you?
What do you mean by that in terms of like?
So in terms of like whether that's client serving part, the research part, or just like it affecting your personal life part, like just any struggles in that.
Okay, I guess like going back to this, just like whenever people are like, they like stop with like my coaching stuff, I'm like, knowing myself, I kind of like blame that on myself. I'm like, why did this person quote unquote stop at this point per se, So then I kind of have to take like my own like. Reflect back and be like, oh, like if I did maybe this thing better or something, just like again going back to like that growth mindset, right? Like of course like I want to help as many people that are willing to like receive that help. But then whenever like people kind of stop like my coaching, I'm like, oh, like what if like I was better like communicating this part of it to this person or something like that, or like maybe they didn't enjoy this part of the training or like this part of the nutrition, but I never asked that or like communicated that well. So I think just going back to like understand, again, I'm working with plenty of different people. Everyone has different ways to communicate. So I'm just trying to find like the right balance to like decide on like what is best per person.
Yeah, I never thought about that before. How if a client leaves, like you question like, was it on me?
Right, exactly. Or is it just them itself,
Yeah. And like, it's I mean, it's great how you're flipping that in terms of like, okay, like, well, they may have left, but like, what could I have done better? But not putting the fault on yourself.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so I have some quick fitness health questions here.
Cool.
That I think I like to say quick fitness hitters. So the first one is, what's one fitness myth you can tell us about?
I guess the biggest myth that I still probably hear to this day is about like creatine, creatine monohydrate. So
Like, what's
yeah,
the myth? Like,
yeah.
what's
So
the
I think
actual part
going
of it?
back to like when I first started researching about it or just like hearing about it, it's like people thought it would like make you gain like lots of weight. It would help like I think there's one claim that said that you like lose your hair or something like that.
Okay.
But like creatine monohydrate is probably like I think it is the most researched supplement in like the entire fitness industry, and like they've debunked all those claims already. Like the weight that you gain is only temporary because once you are consuming that creatine, that just kind of absorb some more water weight. So like the first couple of weeks that you are on creatine, like you didn't gain like 5 pounds of muscle, right? Like that
Yeah.
5 pounds that you gain is only just water just going into to that muscle. So you might have like that kind of pop feeling to it. But then eventually, as you're just consistently taking that creatine,
Yeah.
it'll subside and it'll like eventually bounce back out to to your baseline.
Okay.
And I think going back to like the hair loss thing, I think one study they gave creatine to like rats or something,
Yeah.
and then I forget the exact like compound that is associated with like hair loss, but I think like the rats like saw like a decrease in that percentage for them.
Yeah.
But safe to say like that one research article like that was like 20 years ago. So now like it's
Oh,
like you're not
yeah.
gonna lose your hair, guys. All right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
unless you're bald again, you're not gonna gain any more hair. But yeah, I say like that's what probably one of the bigger myths too. Also with like diet soda, I don't know if you like to drink diet soda or
I
anything.
don't like to drink soda
Okay,
usually. Yeah,
got
yeah.
it. But I like me, bro. I kid you not. Like during prep or even just right now, I probably consume like one Diet Coke like every single
Wow.
day. Like
Okay.
I love drinking Diet Coke.
Both you and Ryan.
Oh really? Shout out Ryan. We gotta get a lift soon.
Yeah.
And we also gotta get him on this pod too.
Hey, I mean, you can suggest him. We'll see. Last time I asked him, he's like, "I'm about to get you canceled."
But yeah, no, like diet soda. I think there's like the biggest rage about like cancer and all that stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's like there's a link between drinking X amount of number of diet sodas and that can increase like your risk of cancer.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure like I can't quote unquote like say the exact studies, but if you go on like Google Scholar and like you did like your own like 5 minute research about it, like there's been a multitude number of studies that have like debunked that claim about like diet soda and its risk with like cancer and
Yeah.
and Alzheimer's disease and all that stuff.
Wow. Interesting.
So yeah, no, it's safe to drink diet soda, guys.
I
Okay?
mean, nowadays, like, what is safe to eat now besides,
Right,
like,
exactly, right.
besides
I mean,
picking it off the, the
right,
tree itself?
I know, right? I mean, there's just so much information like going out these
Yeah.
days through like social media and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
a lot of it's just through like clickbait. So you kind of just have to again find like your trusted sources and understand that like again everything has its own context.
Yeah.
There isn't quote unquote like a right food to eat versus a wrong food. Depends on like just what your goals are and again how much you're eating, right?
Yeah. So is diet soda better than soda or regular soda?
So diet soda. So the reason why I drink that over regular soda is because of the calories, right? So diet
Okay.
soda has 0 calories
Okay,
compared
okay,
to like a
gotcha.
regular can has like 140 calories, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, yeah.
But sometimes if I do want like that quick carb source, I would drink like a regular soda. Just So again,
Quick carbs.
exactly, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
it's fast digesting carbs. I think there was actually like a football player. His dad was like a bodybuilder or something. And he would recommend him drinking like a can of soda before like a football game.
Really?
And that's just how he got up to like the point where he is right now. So like
Wow. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Soda before my Wednesday basketball men's league games. Okay. So the next hitter I have for you is, what is the best tip to build muscle?
Best tip to okay. Nah, that's a pretty jam-packed
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
I guess maybe I can break it down a little bit more, right? So going back to calories in versus calories out, right? So not to like to my understanding, I don't think there's anyone that can like quote unquote break the rules of thermodynamics. So
Okay.
like
Don't think so.
if you want to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So that means you have to expend more energy than you are consuming. And if you're trying to gain weight, the opposite, you eat more than what you are expending. So that's like the first basis, right? You have to figure out what kind of goals that you want. Do you want to stay at your current weight? Do you want to gain weight or lose weight, right?
Yeah.
From there on, I guess talking about more so the nutrition aspect of it, I would say like the main thing that you want to focus on is your protein goals, right? Is the number of protein that you're consuming each day, because protein is basically the macronutrient that kind of rebuilds all of like the tissue that you kind of quote unquote like destroyed at the gym. Like that, like when you're at the gym and lifting, your muscle fibers like break down, and the protein is the fuel that kind of goes back and repairs, and over time that is what leads to building muscle, right? So I would recommend eating like roughly like 1 gram per pound of body weight. There's research going about like eating more, eating less, but I just keep it simple. I think multiplying your body weight by 1 like just keeps it easy, right?
Yeah.
And then going from there, going to more training, the training aspect of it. If you are like really looking to maximize as much muscle as you want, I think a lot of people look down on the training intensity or slash quote unquote how hard you're training. So research, or kind of like what I like to do with my coaching, is that if you're say for example you're doing a set of like bench press, right? The first couple of reps that you're doing kind of like puts you into quote unquote like that area of like that once you're starting to struggle. And then once you're at that point, you're trying to look at those last few reps and kind of seeing how hard you're pushing yourself. So the research kind of suggests that if you're pushing close to failure between 3 reps in reserve compared to like going all the way to 0, like that's like the sweet spot that you're doing. So say for example, if you're doing like a set of 10, you're on rep number 7. Those last 3 few reps are like the most stimulative, right? And that's what really kind of causes like that muscle group. So like me just going into the gym, like I see like a bunch of people just like throwing like the weight around and all that stuff, and they're training so far away from failures that like at the end of the day they're kind of just like moving their limbs and muscles just to move it. Like you're not gonna be gaining too much. Like it's better than just sit at home. But if you're like truly like if you truly want to gain muscle, like you're gonna have to train hard, and that's kind of what we kind of talked about too. Like you're going with that, right? Like it's not just the physical aspect of it too, but you have to like be mentally ready for that you're gonna be taking this set to like that leg press, like it's gonna be hard on those last few reps, right? So yeah, I think that's like a quick kind of summary about like about like if you are trying to maximize your muscle growth, right? Eat enough protein. Well, first understand what kind of goals you're trying to gain, right? And then hit your protein goals and just train hard. And then from there, sleep, recover, eat, and all that stuff, and just trying to find like the X amount of volume that kind of fits your lifestyle and like what best response your muscles best respond to.
Yeah, guys, I can't emphasize enough where I'm like mentally having to prepare myself in every set. And literally sometimes, I didn't tell you this, but literally yesterday when I was doing my last day of the week for training or whatever, so there's Steven has me do lying bicep curls with dumbbells. And like obviously I'm looking up to God and Buddha, and I'm like, please give me the strength to do this. So there's that part, right? The other part is, as I'm like repping, is me saying, you Steven, you Steven, you Steven, you Steven.
I've heard that too many times. I've heard that way too many times. So.
Because of how just like, it's just how hard that you have to go,
right?
But in my head I'm like, if you want this shit, like this is the kind of intensity you go to.
There are no like easy things that come to life, right? You're gonna have to work for it.
Exactly.
You know.
And then this asshole gives me feedback. Hey, you could have done one more. You dog. You.
Hey, once I'm done with school and then we have more time, we're gonna get a lift at Planet Fitness together, and we'll train hard.
No, we're going to your gym.
We'll train hard.
I have too much anxiety at Planet Fitness with filming. Okay. He knows that. And then I think you probably touched base on this, but what's the best tip to lose fat? I think you kind of touched base on it, but if there's anything else.
Best tip to lose fat, eat carrots. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, going back to just the calorie in versus calorie out output of it, like you have to just be burning quote unquote more calories than what you're eating, right? Like if you're eating 3,000 calories, per day and your body only burns 2,500 calories, you're going to be gaining weight, right? There's no one way to figure that out. So say you flip that, say you're expending 3,000 calories per day and you're only eating 2,500 calories, then you will be in that quote unquote like losing weight, right? And then from there, you kind of just have to decide on like what kind of things just kind of best fits for you, you know? Like you can play around with like how much well, again, recommend, I would say protein is like one of those things that you kind of just have to be pretty hard stuck on, just because you're trying to maintain as much muscle as you can during like a fat loss phase, because you don't want to just lose all the gains that you kind of just, you know, dedicate months and months of working on. But yeah, going back to like the carbs and fats, like you can modulate them depending on how you kind of quote unquote like to eat like your own food. And again, I don't make strict food decisions for you. Like I give you like recommendations, like, you know, you get to cook like your own food and all that stuff. Like I'm not gonna make you eat like 400 calories of like eggs for your breakfast or something like that. Like whatever best fits for your lifestyle, like do that, you know, because that at the end of the day, that's gonna make you want to be consistent with it, you know. And then from there, and then just choose things that you kind of like to do to expend a little more like calories, you know. Like if your form of cardio is to go for a walk, like go do that. If you enjoy playing basketball or something, do that, you know. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, in order to like kind of quote unquote lose fat and try to maintain as much muscle as you can, you have to be in a calorie deficit, try to maintain as much muscle as you can. Like you're still training hard during a fat loss phase. You're still your last few rounds, they're still gonna be pretty hard. Trying to maintain as much muscle through nutrition from the protein, and then you just have to find a way to get into like that calorie deficit through eating less food, as well as doing a little more and energy expenditure via whatever type of form of cardio you kind of like to do, you know.
Gotcha. How many people have asked you to help them get a dump truck?
Get a dump truck?
I was actually curious about it.
I don't think anyone's asked me to get a dump truck, because for like my ass is small. Like I gotta say, like if you saw my ass, you probably think like I had like one of these smallest asses. I'm trying to bring my ass up for myself actually, but I don't think anyone has asked me that question before, because mostly my clientele is like guys.
Okay. So
they kind of want like that big chest and all that stuff. But my goal for every single guy is for them, once they're done with me, is to enjoy a good hard leg day. Like I know a lot of guys, they enjoy, you know, I love doing chest and arms, but like just like that sensation of like after accomplishing a long and hard leg day, pause, long and hard. Like you just feel so accomplished. Like you're walking up the stairs or something, and you're like, what the fuck did I just do to my legs? Like, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like just having big ass legs just kind of shows like, wow, like this guy like knows how to train, you know? Like, of course, everyone can get like big arms, right? This is what you're doing for arms, right? You're just bending your elbow, but there's so many different like muscles in your legs. Like there's so many like variety that I feel like just having big legs is kind of like, I don't know, it's just very masculine to me, at least.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's actually a good way, because when you think about it, right, we see all these like videos and memes about people being like, oh, like
the upper body day, right? Yeah. Do you skip like this? So I kind of want to like change that narrative, like, oh, do you skip upper body day? You know, now we'll be doing some legs, you know.
And even when you think about it, if they have like bigger legs than like the bigger upper body, I feel like that's more aesthetically like better than like the opposite, than looking like a Dorito.
Right,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So my last fitness question for you is, you know, for people that have kind of this fear or intimidation of working out at the gym, what is the best tip for you to help them with that kind of mindset?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, everyone has like, you know, starts at like their own place, and some people might need like working out with like a buddy. You know, like when I started lifting with like my brother, and so he kind of took me under the wing and like taught me like quote unquote gym etiquette and like what to do, like how safely perform these specific exercises. But if you are just like starting to like go to the gym, like I'd probably recommend just like finding people that look nice, or even like the biggest person there,
Yeah.
and just start asking him questions. Like, of course, like don't like go
In the
like
middle of the
in the
set.
middle of the set and
Yeah,
ask him
yeah,
like
yeah.
questions because he might like you up, right? But like I feel like the people that have like years and years of experience, like they want to like help. I think that's like a gym culture thing where people think that like the biggest person there at the gym probably like doesn't want with you, like they just want to do like their own thing. But like if you're nice about it and you like are genuinely curious about it, and you have like specific questions about like these exercises or something, like just go up to them, just like ask politely, like, hey, like I noticed that you're doing this exercise, and like you're like you're very like you're
Yeah,
huge, right?
yeah,
You're
yeah,
huge,
yeah,
you're huge.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, like I just started out lifting. Like, what are some like things you would recommend me doing, stuff like that, like, and then they would give you like that information, take that as is,
Yep.
and then from there just kind of just play around and choose some staple exercises that kind of focuses on like the big muscle groups, right? And just start doing it, like
Yeah.
again. um I know like just going into like, so there's like a shit ton of people at the gym, you're kind of like intimidated and all that stuff, but if you can just like have a buddy that kind of like knows what they're kind of doing, or you can ask questions about to people that are at the gym already, or just if you're by yourself, just mind your own business, just start, like I don't
Yeah.
think there's anyone, like if you think like there are people judging you, there probably aren't too many people judging you, unless like you're like hurting yourself, then someone might come up to you. But I think everyone kind of has like those moments in the gym where you're like probably doing this exercise like wrong, like completely, but like that's kind of just how you learn, right?
Yeah.
Like as a kid, like when you first start crawling and start walking, like you're gonna fall back down, but it's just you consistently doing it over and over, and then eventually you're gonna be walking, running, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I know when I started lifting, my brother, he said his like, here's the number one rule of the gym. No one gives a about you,
No,
and you don't
exactly.
give a about anyone
No,
else.
exactly. Yeah, like half the time, like between sets, I'm just daydreaming. I'm just looking
Yeah,
into the sky.
literally.
Looking straight ahead, like shit. I gotta do another set in like a minute. So
It's always like, I gotta do another one of
right,
this.
exactly. Yeah. And then right now, since I'm at a bulk, I'm like I'm so hungry. I can't wait to get home and eat.
It's yeah, no, I seriously think I compare it to like taking a dance workshop. Because in a dance workshop, obviously you have the mirror in front of you, right? And
Right.
obviously there's a lot of people around you. So it's like, oh, like you might have this initial mindset of like, oh, people are staring at me, and like, and I'm not getting this. Oh my God, like, I should just walk out the class. Not like, I guarantee 99% of the time, either like not 99% of the time, they're looking at themselves in the mirror to figure out if they're doing it right. Like,
right.
yeah, they're not looking at you to figure out, like, unless like they like what you're doing, then they may look at you to be like, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I need to do because I can't see in the front.
Right.
So it's just like, I feel like there's this thing about like, I whether it's society that makes the gym intimidating, or it's like our own personal selves.
Right.
And I think most of it comes from our personal selves, and then other parts society wise is just like Karens in the gym getting up in your face.
Yeah.
I think that's like the other part of it. But
that and that like scrawny 12-year-old kid like on TikTok or something trying to get famous and doing like
yeah.
stupid shit,
Yeah. So, for anyone who's thinking about starting their fitness journey, like, just go in there, bring a buddy, like Steven said. I that's honestly like a really great, like, great tip.
Yeah.
But if you're going by yourself, just, understand that, you are starting somewhere, everyone starts somewhere, and
Right.
that you just go in there, do your business, because that's what everyone else is doing. It's supposed to be a growth community type
Right.
of thing. Like, it's not supposed to be a judgmental zone or whatever it is.
Right.
Everyone's there on their own plan, agenda, trying to grow, and like that's what you're trying to do too. So kind of take that mindset in when you're at the gym, if there is some kind of fear, intimidation in there. So man, we've been talking about, a lot about your experience as a coach, and like, what advice do you give to other people, but what are your own personal fitness goals? Because I know you've brought up like bodybuilding. I know that's a venture that you want to dive into later in life.
Yeah. I think eventually I do want to compete in a bodybuilding show. The plan was to actually do one like at the end of this year.
Okay.
But I think with juggling between the last year of PT school, as well as like finding a job, passing my boards exam, I think that would have been too much stress. Like, because when you're dieting, like you have to be like super like shredded and stuff, and I just didn't want to add like that much stress to my body, so I decided to just take another year of just like kind of just allow my body to grow a little more, like put on more muscle. At this point, I think, and then me and my friend, I think, are planning to shoot for 2026 to eventually do a bodybuilding show,
Nice.
and just be naked, show off my glutes and all that stuff, and be all nice and tan. So.
I feel that's like it's crazy when like you have to get painted, like the
Yeah.
difference in like your like
Oh, for sure,
face
yeah,
and
and
all that
like
stuff.
everything looks so different too with like the lighting of like these places too, like all like the like at different gyms, every place has like different lightings and stuff like
Yes.
that. Like lighting, it makes a big difference. Like if you're at a place that has proper lighting, you probably look like the most jacked you've ever been.
Yeah.
But then the next day you go to like a regular gym and like the lighting's shit, and then you're like,
What
where
happened?
the muscles go, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like once you're at that stage where you're at that competitive stage level like physique, like quote unquote percentages wise, you're probably like at like sub 6% body fat. Like you're pretty like peeled and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And like if you have like muscle on, like you will probably look like the best shape that you've ever been at. And I think it's just cool to like show off like how long and like how hard that process was for you, and just
Yeah.
kind of show off like how like your hard work has paid off, and like you're competing against X amount of people that are at that place too, and everyone has like their own fitness journey, and you're just you guys are all just having fun showing off your physiques. Everyone is different in terms of like their height, like how big their bicep is compared to like to the legs. So again, there isn't quote unquote a prototype like best image, like it's the way that you present yourself.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I'm definitely excited to eventually venture out to that and start like doing posing and all that stuff. And I think when I do step up on stage, like I will hire like my own coach too, because I've never had like a coach for my training. Like I've coached myself throughout my entire career.
Right.
But I think not knowing, like having too much knowledge about like getting like comp
level
yeah,
physique.
low physique, as well as like the posing aspect of it. Like I would definitely like hire someone that has more knowledge and credibility to that. And then I think once I do a couple of shows like myself, then I can like expand on my like online coach too. That I can like coach you to get yourself on that level of stage level readiness too.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing when you reflect on your life in total, right? Because you went from someone who was not confident in himself, and now you're going to be entering into a competition where you're literally showing like almost everything, damn near everything, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a kind of a crazy concept to really think about, and how far you've come from like obviously like a mindset wise, right?
Right, for sure.
I mean, bodybuilding is just crazy, especially the preparation, like the day is it usually 48 hours before, 24 hours
like
before?
most people do like a week, so that's called like the oh shit, I forget the week of it, but yeah, generally people do like once they kind of get to like that, like do maybe 20 weeks of like cutting, then like that last peak week. So they do like a peak week, and everyone has like their own like style going into it. Some people like to do like 3 days out or something. Some people like more like long term kind of thing. But I think with that peak week, you're that goal is to quote unquote deplete like your body. So you're eating very low calories in terms of like the amount of carbs you're at, so that your muscles are just at like its bone, like to that level. And then like 2 days out from it, then you eat like a shit ton of carbs. So then that muscle glycogen kind of goes into the muscle and gives you like that popping effect to there. So again, there's different strategies, and like I'm still learning about that. Like I've read a couple of books about it, but I feel like having someone that actually has done that before and like has some knowledge to it would definitely help me put like the best state, like because I don't want to go into it and like not know too much about it, and like I've already like dieted down for like 20-30 weeks and stuff. Like I want to put the best version of myself on that stage,
Oh, of course. Yeah. So, I mean, you work so hard. Like, why wouldn't you try to maximize the potential as much as possible, right? So, before we get into song association, like, is there anything that any topic, any questions that you have for me that you want to dive into before we kind of like wrap things up here?
Yeah, I think the one question I had is that what kind of got you into dancing? I don't think I've ever asked you.
Oh, that's a good question.
That question before, Andy.
I think this is a very common answer with like young Asian Americans, and that was America's Best Dance Crew. So America's Best Dance Crew, if you guys don't know, was a dance competition show that was on MTV, hosted by Randy Jackson, and like at that time, that's when Jabba came out. I forgot what
Yeah,
year.
okay.
And I was just like, dang, like that's like super cool. And at that time, like Asians weren't really portrayed in the way that we wanted to, probably in the most positive light. And I remember just also watching a YouTube video with my brother, and like I was like, oh, that's cool. It was like a dancing video, and I was like, let me try to emulate that. And like I did, and then I started to like just do that same move at like not dance parties at family parties.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say you.
No.
Got
But
some baby oil too on
exactly. Hey. No Diddy here. Yeah, because my family. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with like Southeast like Asian family parties, but for my family parties, like sometimes I'd be at a venue at a hall, and like they'll play like like the typical like traditional music, so Lao music.
Okay.
In the words that we say, mo lam. And but after that, it gives a chance to like, oh, like we'll give you like 30 minutes to the kids, so like they'll play like whatever common music was there.
Yeah.
So then I remember vividly, and I think this is after watching Step Up too. So in the movie Step Up, there's like the streets. Are you familiar with the movie Step Up? Like the first one, like Step Up with like Channing Tatum.
So I was gonna say that's with Chen, right?
Yeah. Okay, so the second one. So the second one, there's a move that the two characters do where they're like, I mean, everybody has seen this, but like basically like one person like puts their hand on your chest, and then like the other person just like brings your chest up to kind of emulate that breathing effect, right? Trying to explain it as much for people who are just listening, but like think about like someone someone's controlling your chest and like bringing it out and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So I just remember like a circle was created, and then I just went over to my cousin. I was like, "Oh, let's do it!" And then like we did it, and everyone was like, "Oh, yeah."
All the aunties are like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah." All the aunties are like, "Wow, very good." So that, and then from then on, I was like, dance is like pretty cool. I just love. I think part of it was trying to grab for attention.
Yeah.
Performing, performing has this aspect for me chemically wise where I'm like, I love to hear like people like cheering for me and encouraging for me, which is, it's very, when I look back at it, it's very interesting because I think when I danced, it was kind of trying to grab attention, ask for attention, I guess you can say, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I know some parts of my life where I was like, oh, like maybe this isn't the correct time to ask for attention. But yeah, that's how I started dancing, from ABDC and then YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then ever since I just kept going with it. And then my relationship with now, like I'm still performing.
Right, because I know you sometimes do like your like dance like clinics kind of thing. Right?
Yes.
Like
workshops. Yeah, dance workshops back at UMass Amherst.
Yeah.
I'll be doing another one. I'm not sure when this episode is gonna come out, but I'll be doing another one with my good friend Leanne.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I enjoy that a lot because I wanna try to create like an event or space where those people that like don't that haven't danced before.
Yeah.
Because obviously we talked about like when you come into like a workshop or even the gym, like it's super scary because it's the first time you're doing something. But provide them like, hey, it's all about having fun, and then like that influencing them to come back more and more.
Right, it's kind of just like giving them an opportunity to kind of start, right?
Yeah, and like something I talked about with Lee on his episode was just like trying these new things because you just don't know like whether you like it or not, but you won't know unless like you try it, right?
Right. Yeah. No, Lee's definitely a person that likes to try things a lot, and he still sucks at them, but I mean, props to him for trying these new things out. Like, again, I don't know when this episode is gonna come up, but like, good luck to you at your high rocks competition, Lee. I know you're probably gonna come in last place, but do you think, all right, bro?
I think I need to get these two on a podcast together, just like from them slandering each other.
I think if you find some time, Randy, Lee and I will be more than happy to come onto this pod. And
I'm just like the mediator in the middle.
Just talk things out, Exactly. Right.
All right. So what has left to you guys? Banter and insulting each other. We need to talk about this. This is an intervention for both of you. All right, man. So before we get into song association, I just want to say thank you for all the gems of advice and all like talking about your story and why you got into fitness and where you wanted to be headed to, like also high praise for helping choosing one of your passions and helping others, because I feel like that's what we need as a society, as a community, is like just taking what we're really good at and what we're passionate about and helping others achieve to whatever their highest goals are. I mean, that's what you're doing with me now.
Right.
And like, thank you for accepting me as like one of your
Yeah,
clients
for
and
sure,
being,
man.
and then, being a coach. And
course.
I know that, part of like when I'm going through trainings, like not only do I want to let myself down, which I know at the end of the day, like it is on me,
Mm-hmm.
but also not letting you down in terms of like a coach, and really show like, hey, like if you team up with Steven, like this is the kind of like results that you'll get.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
also that kind of like that kind of aspect of appreciation of you
Mm-hmm.
helping me become the highest version of myself. And I couldn't be any more grateful for
Appreciate
that.
it, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
for the kind words, man. No,
Of course.
it's been a good like first like month and a half now, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Almost 2 months, and
Yeah.
you've been very diligent with like your client check-ins, as well as just being accountable every single day, trying to record all the videos, ask me questions about like your nutrition. So like you're like very good at in terms of like your communication. So you're making my job like very easy too. So I appreciate you for being such a good client too.
Thank you. Happy for that. All right, I request $10 later.
I'll send it to you.
Just kidding.
I'll send it to you.
All right, man. So let's get into song association. This is a game that I like to play just to kind of touch base on what kind of music people listen to.
I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be very interested in
To hear what you
hear what kind of music I like.
Okay. All right. So I give you a word, and you think of a song lyric or a song title,
Okay.
and then you'll do the same. So this is off the dome
Okay.
in terms of the word. So the word I'm gonna give to you is. Do I want to make it fitness related? Nah. Do I want to?
I have an art like my favorite artist I have in the back of my mind right now, so I feel like I'm just gonna go with the whatever
Whatever song they have.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever song pops in there.
I'm gonna go with time.
Time. Okay. All right. Well, I was just gonna go with this song anyways. Intentions by Justin Bieber.
Oh, nice.
Featuring Quavo, because I feel like with your time, you have to be very intentional about like what you're kind of doing with your life, because everyone has 24 hours in a day, but you can spend that 24 hours however you kind of like to. But if you have like specific intentions of what you want to do, accomplish each day,
Yeah.
then that kind of leads on to like that growth mindset of like what you're trying to accomplish.
Nice,
Right?
nice. I really like the interpret. You're not the only guest that has interpreted this game like that, because where I was coming from was like, okay, where in the song does the word time come up? But you put the
Okay.
meaning on it,
Yeah,
which I'm
yeah,
cool with.
the
I'm cool with.
time, yeah.
I'm down to like
Okay.
put that as another option
I'm
too.
just stupid, you know.
No.
My brain only functions one way.
No, that's gonna be fine. No, I'm totally cool with that answer. I think that's dope. Okay, now it's your turn to give me a word.
Cool. You probably got this word a lot, but I'm gonna say love.
Love. So I'm not gonna do, because I already done the Justin Bieber song.
Oh, okay.
There's, I'm not sure if this artist is Hawaiian, but it gives me like Hawaiian vibes, like
Okay.
reggae vibes. But it's called "Love Me" by Fia Mia, I think.
Okay.
He's like, he sings "Love Me, love me until the morning comes,"
Okay.
something like that. You like, there's like a reggae like
Yeah,
kind of vibe
vibe.
to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's, I haven't heard that song in a while, but
Okay.
that's what I got. That's what I got.
Alright, cool.
Sorry for the terrible singing.
Okay. Sign him right now.
I'll be on your next season's American Idol,
Right.
even though that's not even a thing anymore. I don't know if it is. Maybe it is. All right, man. So let's get into the big three questions. These are actually, before we get into that, we actually have one question from the audience
Oh, shit.
that I know
I'm
we talked about. I
excited.
know we talked about before this about how your friends were just trolling you on the questions, but let me just bring that up.
Cool.
So this is from, I don't know if that name sounds familiar to you.
Yes. Yeah. Alex. Yeah.
So Alex,
Shout out to Alex, man. We went to high school together.
there you go.
And then and college too.
Oh yes, for a period of time. Yes, he was at UMass.
Yep.
He said, "What is the anabolic window?"
What is the anabolic window? Okay.
He's been running. He's been a big runner, so I'm not sure if that falls into that
So
thing.
so just to define what anabolism is
Yeah.
quote unquote like to build up. So it's the opposite of catabolism, which is breaking down, right?
Yeah.
So when people talk about the anabolic window, I think in like the bodybuilding sphere of it, people think about after you're done working out,
Mm-hmm.
you have this quote unquote anabolic window, 1 to 2 hours after you work out that you have to eat or
Oh, okay,
eat like
okay.
hit like that your certain like protein for like that meal of the day and stuff like that. And if you don't eat like 1 or 2 hours after your workout, then like it was completely wasted kind of thing.
Mm.
Um,
Is that true? Is that a true thing?
I think in terms of research wise,
Yeah.
I think it's been debunked about like if you have to quote unquote eat like 1 to 2 hours after. I think at the end of the day, if you're eating your total calories for that day and spread out throughout the day, like 3 to 5 meals, depending on like your whatever best fits for you, like you're still gonna gain like probably 99% of like the benefits of it. But just for me, just like going back to like the anabolic window, like I'm just hungry right after my workout, so I always eat anyways.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So like I would say like to maximize gains, like you don't have to quote unquote eat right after, but like probably like I think for the most part, like you will be hungry just because you just train hard. Like your
Yeah.
body needs that fuel to get back to like its homeostatic space.
Of course.
So yeah, I think it's a little debunked about like you have to eat it per se, but it's not a bad thing to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right after. Okay.
Mhm.
So the anabolic window, if we can say in other words, is basically just like the time after the
You work
time
out.
that's supposed to be maximizing your gains.
get-
Okay,
exa-
okay,
exactly,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Okay, so now we can get into the final big three
Okay,
questions.
cool.
So these are three questions that I feel like could leave like a just a something that the viewers can like resonate with, right?
Yep.
From all the conversations that we've had throughout this entire podcast.
Mhm.
So the first question is, if you could sit down with a younger Steven,
Uh-huh.
what would you say to him? And that could be words of advice,
Yeah.
could be anything.
Don't eat that McDonald's. Take it straight out. So now I'm just kidding. Go. That's a good question. I think if I had to talk to my younger self, I'd probably just tell him that I wouldn't want to change anything. Like I'd be like, I'd tell him that I'm like proud. You know, like I feel like um, not too many people have like those moments where people take the time to like appreciate like just moments in life. So
Yeah.
I feel like um, even though like quote unquote I was like fat back then, like that's definitely not like the persona slash perception that I wanted to be associated with back then. Like I wouldn't want to change a thing because I feel like that kind of led to these specific things that happened throughout my life. So I would tell him that like enjoy the food right now that you're eating right now because you're not gonna get it like in the future as much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But just tell him that like you're like I'm proud of myself and that it's gonna be a little harder. Like you're gonna have like these hard parts in your life, but it's gonna be beneficial at the end of the day. And like I'm like a firm believer like everything happens for a reason per se. So I don't I don't quote unquote like the if I could go back and change and like anything in the past, like I wouldn't want to just because I think you learn specific things in a reason and they happen for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever this is very side tangent, but have you ever done a Mick gangbang? Have you heard of that?
I have no I had McDonald's like maybe like three months ago. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the McChicken with the
Yeah,
McDouble, right?
yeah.
So,
Wait,
like,
dude, it's like I don't know, just
It's-
putting like all different types of McDonald's stuff.
it's so good, man. Like, I love McDonald's. Whenever I go out with my girlfriend, we go out to eat. Like portion sizes aren't like huge and stuff, so
Yeah.
I'm always like, yo, can we go get
McDonald's
man?
after?
Like, so it's only like $5, and I'll be full again, you know. So like, go get some fries, like a couple burgers or something.
Dude, you can't. There's nothing better than after a long night of
Yeah.
like socializing, or whatever. Maybe you're drinking or something. There's
Right.
nothing better than having like McDicks right
Yeah,
after,
no,
you know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that was like the McGangbang was a
thing, right?
thing. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're just like
There's probably like a lot more like combos that I've never tried before.
Just
but
like is it, the fish fillet sandwich with the McChicken, like
oh,
just
no,
that one.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. I mean, they came out with a whole like surf and turf. Like they came out with like most like, all
Okay,
these
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things. But I know that was a term that I like heard from like another influencer.
Yeah. I feel like
and
if you
stuff
go on
like that.
Reddit, search out like McDonald's combinations, you probably have like
A bunch of those.
shit ton.
Yeah.
Right.
So my second question for you is, what does becoming the highest version of yourself mean to you, and how are you doing that today?
Yeah, the highest version of myself, I think it's to just every single day, just trying to become a better person. Like I think like there's a quote, I'm probably gonna butcher it, like try to be a better like or just achieve like a betterment in yourself like 1% each day or something like that. So just having like that growth mindset that like it's not like a sprint, it's more so like like a what's it called, like a marathon or something like that, right? Like I as you can tell, I don't but yeah, it's like everything's just part of like that slow grind. It's like as long as you know what your goals are in life, and you know that these small things, but they're necessary, that you're doing every single day to achieve that long future goal that you have for yourself. I think that is kind of talking about like being the highest version of yourself. And again, like sometimes it's okay to take a break, because like taking like that mental toll.
Yeah.
It's definitely that I think these couple years a lot of people have been a little more exposed to about that. And like, but just work hard every single day, give it your best shot. And just being the highest version of yourself, man.
Nice. Love it. And my final question to you is, if you could connect me with someone that you think would be good on the podcast, who would it be and why?
Oh,
Lee's already been on, so that's out.
I can't say Lee, man. Yeah, I mean, before we start even in the spot, I mean, we gotta get Ryan Lee on this freaking podcast, man. Like,
we'll see.
I feel like Ryan's a pretty interesting guy, and I don't think you've ever had someone like his like mindset and like his background like on this pod too.
Okay.
And he's also pretty jacked too, so you're gonna have two jacked people on this pod. So
dude, it's crazy because last time I worked with him,
yeah,
because obviously like you start off with a pump cover.
Yeah.
He took it off, and I was like, were you always that big? I was like, God damn. No, I'd be down to like talk to Ryan and see how he feels about coming on.
Yeah, for sure. Because you had Kelly on before, right?
Yep, I've had Kelly.
Come on, Ryan. Get your ass over here.
All right, man. Well, Steven, thanks again, man.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you so much and for your time and yeah, just hearing about your story and getting to know you a little bit more and your mindset, and can't wait to check in another 6 months.
Yes,
and
sir.
see where I'm at.
Yes,
see where I'm at.
For sure. I appreciate you, Randy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. All right, guys. So if any of parts of this episode resonated with you, please clip it, tag me and Steven in it. Follow at Steven Chen Fit on IG. Is there any other socials that you want to put that?
No, that's great.
Okay. But yeah, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Love y'all. Bye.